Hi there, this is Nathan, and I'm on day one, or I should say day two of my 30-day trial, and I'm a little bit exhausted today because it was a mentally exhausting day at work, and physically exhausting because we did our first day of kettlebells today. So I'm going to do this and then take a nice little nap, probably like an 8-hour one. So what I'm gonna talk about today is I'm gonna just read a fairly brief passage from this book that I've been reading. It's called Love Without End by Glenda Green. So in this book she channels Jesus, and I'm gonna read a quote from him today, and which I found to have a lot of value, and it seems like something it's pretty interesting to me, and you might find it interesting as well. So here we go. True power resides with God and is indigenous thereto. Through enduring connections with the Creator, that power is transmitted to individual beings and all living things to be held indigenously within each life. Such power can be lost or corrupted only through denials of love and separations from God, because all power from God is essentially pure. Man delegates surrogate power to structure, authority, and forces external to himself. Surrogate power can extend man's influence over the environment. However, when delegated power assumes the rights of indigenous power, it corrupts very quickly. For example, when two men form a business together, they create a surrogate power. If it is understood as such and supervised equally by both, the structure they created can be useful. If one man should usurp the other and assume the delegated power only for himself, it will surely corrupt. Education of children is a surrogate power, delegated by their parents. As long as it reflects the values and wishes of the parents, that power is held in proper custody. Should it be used to undermine the indigenous power that exists between parents and children, there will be problems. A government is surrogate power, delegated by the governed. As long as it serves the needs of the governed and respects the indigenous power from which it is formed, that surrogate power can be useful. The moment surrogate power assumes the rights of indigenous power, corruption will begin. Usually, this is implemented by the use of force, mandatory conformity, suppression of rights, and dishonesty. Surrogate power always draws its energy from indigenous power. When this rule is respected and openly acknowledged, surrogate power can be an effective extension of authority, although if force and dishonesty have reversed priorities to give the false impression that surrogate power is real power, you then have a situation where the flea is trying to own the dog and enforcing its claim with threats and punishment. Under such oppressive conditions, nothing works better than a declaration of sovereign rights held by indigenous power. This is the power of all true liberators. It's what the founding fathers of your country did in 1776. It's what occurred with the abolition of slavery. It has happened within communities, families, careers, and personal lives. This is what happens when a person returns to the heart and activates the indigenous power established there by the Creator. Sometimes surrogate power fights back, although it never wins, for it has no authority of its own. For each individual, there is a responsibility to know and to honor the difference between indigenous and surrogate power. Your indigenous power lies in being a child of God, in the love that you are, and in your internal covenant with the Creator through the Sacred Heart. In the course of living, you also delegate authority to many self-created identities, most especially social, career, and achievement identities. Whenever such identities command and own your life, assuming the rights of indigenous power, then problems will arise. The term ego has various meanings in your language. Nevertheless, the dysfunctional problems associated with ego might be best explained as the result of surrogate identities displacing the soul's true self. In the depths of your being is your own sacred center. It is the still, quiet chamber wherein you are one with God. Your own indigenous power is held in place through this connection. Therefore, you cannot underestimate the value that conscious participation may bring. Knowledge of the heart is priceless to your life. The heart is a place where you must be alone, for it is your sacred ground. The very act of being there is the essence of prayer. When I told my disciples to go into a closet and pray, I was being quite literal in two ways. Any secluded place will do. Select a place that is appropriate to the sacred chamber you are about to enter within your being. There is a vital lifeline connecting the sacred heart with the body. Therefore, it does reside within the physical form. This connection point can vary slightly in each person, but it is approximately the same. And then it goes on for a while about the Sacred Heart. But this isn't exactly what I wanted to talk about. Like, what I wanted to talk about was the first portion of it, and that is the difference between surrogate power and indigenous power, which I think is very important. And that is that each person has indigenous power, which is like if you were going back in time to the formation of our country, it's what they would call like natural rights, that were God-given rights. These are powers that we have innately within us. And then there's other things, which is what you'd call like personhood, which is the entities that are structures that are created by man, which aren't natural, they're artificial, they're surrogates. So like in the same way that a corporation is a person, you end up with these sort of like convoluted things where structures act as agents and represent, actual natural citizens or natural people that are just, walking free on the land and stuff. And it's very important that we as individuals take responsibility for our actions and for the actions of the surrogates which serve us, rather than letting the surrogates act as they want or as whoever is in control wants, because then the surrogates will turn on us and not act with our will but against us. And that is where like corruption comes from, is where we give our power to the surrogates under certain pretenses, and then over time those pretenses dissolve and shift into some sort of thing that we did not anticipate. So, something to consider. Reclaim your power from the surrogates which you have given them to, and make sure that they are acting on your actual will and not on whatever they want to do. They are serving you, so enjoy that. Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful evening.